So there are some all-important special occasions. Of course, we start with Parents' Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, or we have to talk about what to do, and we've got 2 moms or 2 dads around that. But that's the time where kids get to celebrate the fact that they've got the most amazing parents on the planet. And so sometimes parents like to spend those, guess what, child-free. Yes, I have had parents say, hey, it's my Mother's Day, I'm going to the spa. Or it's my Father's Day, and I'm going to spend it at the spa, on the golf course, or whatever, right? So the first thing we have to decide is, do we want the children with us? And I would say most of the time people do, but sometimes not. So that's an option. We need to, of course, define what is it. Is it the day? Is it the weekend? Is it from Saturday night until Sunday? How do we define it, right? But most importantly, the parent who is not celebrating the special occasion is helping the children plan and prepare for that other parent's special opportunities. So one of the ways that I am a good parent to my children is to help them celebrate the other ones that they love. So if I'm helping them celebrate somebody else's Mother's Day, then I'm helping them make cards or plan for how to do breakfast in bed or whatever the case may be.
That's a really good point.
That's how that's how we teach children how to treat someone they love. It doesn't matter that I may not love that person in the same way anymore. That's not the point, right? And the other special occasions that we want to talk about is birthdays.
Right.
So when I think about birthdays, I want you to think about them in 3 different ways. I want you to think about your own birthday and whether it's important to you to absolutely have to see your children on your own birthday. Okay? And the thing that goes there is, if they're with their other parent, do we really need to pull them out of rhythm for a few hours to see you on your birthday? Or are you comfortable saying, hey, I'm going to see you in a few days, we're going to celebrate on the weekend, and we're going to have a grand time and make a birthday cake or make a special dinner? Then we don't need to break rhythm for that. We're definitely going to celebrate that birthday, because birthdays are important, and they are really important to kiddos. So your own birthdays. Then we're going to think about our children's own birthdays, their actual factual birthdays that may occur on any given Thursday, right? We often celebrate birthdays on the weekend, but they're still the day they were born. And for many parents, that's a really, really important day. And so we have a couple of ways of dealing with that. We can actually rotate their birthdays. You get them in odd years, I get them in even years, regardless of the residential schedule. Okay, that's one way. Or we can just say that the non-residential parent, unless it's a transition day, if it's a transition day, we already get to see them. We each get to see our child if it's a transition day. But if it's not a day that they're transitioning, then at least I get a 2 or 3 hour visit with my kiddo on their actual factual birthday. That can be really important. Now, in a really, really ideal world, if we're getting along, we're all getting together for dinner on our actual factual birthday. I might be inviting you to the house, or we're all agreeing we're going to go to Applebee's or Red Robin or whatever the kids are used to, right? So all of those opportunities exist.
Now, what about children's birthday parties?
Really important. First of all, my family is going to throw a birthday party for our kids no matter what, and you may or may not be invited.
Right.
Perfectly okay. Your family might do the same thing, or your family of friends may do the same thing. Perfectly okay. This is where it's different. Our children may have a peer birthday party, and kids can't have 2 peer birthday parties, or your friends' parents will want to, I don't know what they're going to want to do, but they're not going to be very happy with 2 birthday parties and 2 sets of presents. So usually what we do is we have a parent designated as a project manager for their child's peer birthday party. And we might even share that, me in even years, you in odd years, right? And I like it that if we have 3 children, I'm going to be the project manager for all 3 kids in even years. You're going to be the project manager for all 3 kids in odd years. So there's no competition. It's just, it's Felicia's year, it's Karen's year. Easy to go. Kids understand that, right?
Now, I'm really liking how we're reinforcing. We started off with our chief executive officer parent and our chief financial officer parent. And then we took that into what we call a duty parent. Right. And now we have a project manager parent.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think we probably haven't spoken enough about this idea that a lot of times when there are difficulties with developing, regaining the level of trust and figuring out how to work well together and develop that flexibility and cooperation we talk so much about, that until we get there, a business relationship sometimes can be the best foundation
A real
for
model.
how to begin to co-parent until you kind of get those training wheels, like you said, rolling, and can get those training wheels off once it starts to be better. And if you think in terms of business modeling, your planning, your management, your communication, that really, I think, can build that really excellent foundation to become the best co-parents as you move forward and learn how to do all this in a new way that you're not used to.
Exactly. So if I'm the project manager this year for, Lucy's birthday, then of course I'm going to sit down and talk with you about the date and timing of that birthday party. It's probably going to fall on my weekend unless it actually belongs on yours, and I'm going to ask you if that's okay. We're going to set a budget. We're going to decide if we're splitting that fee or if I'm responsible for it. If I'm the project manager, I'm responsible for the budget. We get to have that conversation. We're probably even going to put that in our parenting plan. Are we going to split it, or are we each responsible? And then, in an ideal world again, you are always welcome at our children's birthdays that I plan, and I am always welcome at our children's birthdays that you plan. Now, other adults, we may say, are only invited by mutual agreement until there's domestic partnership. In other words, until there's someone that is fulfilling a step-parent role, we of course wouldn't exclude that person. But it might not include the person you're just currently dating, right? But again, we can specify that in our parenting plan, that other adults by mutual agreement, unless a person is that significant. And then we can decide how much beyond the children's peers, how many grandparents, aunts, and uncles are going to be at the peer birthday party. It might not be appropriate. We might need a family birthday separate. So lots of things to think about, but when we think about them is how we make sure that children have special birthdays. They're memorable. They're conflict-free. Remember, that's what we're after. That when I look up, and I look up, there you are, and there you are, and my heart is full, and I'm 10 years old. That's what we want. So we make plans for that. And we share the responsibility, and we share the opportunities to make that special for our kids.
So that's really beautiful, Karen, and I'm wondering about any other special occasions that maybe we haven't touched on.
Well, there are always unique family events. And one of my favorites with some parents that I worked with who had adopted their children, they had twins, and they celebrated Gotcha Day. And I'd never heard that before, but I love the term, it was your gotcha day. So whether it was the day we went to China to pick you up or went down to Honduras and got you from the orphanage or whatever the case may be, that can be a very special occasion in your family, and you would want to write that into your parenting plan. There may be other things that are important in your family that we haven't mentioned and wouldn't be able to think of, but you know what they are. Those can be included as events, special occasions, or holidays in your parenting plan, or in a section maybe just called Other, but go ahead and capture those and list them. You know what your unique occasions are. You get to build those into your parenting plan.
That's excellent advice. Next, we're going to be talking about what do we do when we have priorities that are vying for
a conflict.
A conflict. So in other words, when we have a birthday that happens to fall on top of a major holiday that might happen in the middle of summer vacations. So Karen, in our second video, we have gone through how to help people create that all-important residential schedule, which really is the basis of the parenting plan. And I always like to advise clients to try some of this on for size, but not only that, try to map out for yourself the course of maybe the next year, 2, even 3 years of the schedule, trying a full schedule on while you're looking at the various developmental levels of your children through that period of time, and see how that feels. Can you speak any more about that?
That is excellent. We have just encouraged people to think about where your children are going to be with whom 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. But thinking about that in sort of like a theoretical way looks really different when you map it on a calendar.
Right.
And one of the ways that you'll find that bumpiness or those places where things are not what you thought they would be is by literally mapping it out. So taking that extra time and sitting down with the calendar is extremely valuable, because remember, this is a legal contract, and at the end of the day, it's your conflict manager. So although we've talked a lot about, oh, well, I can just make a change, that's true if it's by mutual agreement. But it's still my job here at the front end to do that due diligence and make sure that all of those schedule pieces fall in a way that makes sense to both of us before we sign that document. So that's a really, really useful next step. Great idea. At this point, I'm already thinking ahead to our next video, video 3. This is where we're going to really talk about the nuts and bolts that are non-residential and the things that make implementing your residential schedule possible. It's things like talking about transitions for your children. We're going to be talking about communication. We're going to be talking about decision making, and continue to really reinforce that necessary flexibility that makes implementing a parenting plan possible, functional, feasible, and guess what? Good for kids. So thank you for joining us. We both look forward to working with you in video 3.